Right, how you all doing? I don't think I've ever done an update quite this fast before. Oversights and some things I've really kind of, probably should have thought about for the internet detox that I technically started yesterday, but technically started it when the OpenReach engineer went up the pole and stuffed up my line. A quick update on that. My internet is actually back, and OpenReach engineer came around this morning and they went and did the exact thing. I believe they went and did the exact thing that I was worried they were going to do. It's called a lift and shift. It's where they take a line that's had a complaint on it and just flip it with another line that's up on the pole. So basically, potentially, someone has got my really sucky line, and if they don't complain about it, they're not going to do anything about it. Which makes me a bit sad, because you think to yourself, surely they know that's a bad thing to do. There are competing products coming out. Why aren't they working to beef up their infrastructure rather than hobbling this network on? But the engineers know that's something that has to be done, but they can't do it, without the go ahead of up top. And realistically, up until recently, fiber to the cab was the best we had. Up until, was it City Fiber started rocking their way through, and that would have meant fiber to premises. We would have been getting kind of Norwich cable speeds, I guess, which are around 300. That's what I've heard, 300 down, 300 up. At the moment, the best you can get in town is, I think, in the regions of 70 down, 15 up, 20 up, which is what I've got. But they've reconnected the line, and it's working for now. So I've switched the entire house back over to the main modem rather than having it connected to my phone. But because my phone's here. But actually, if anyone's curious how much data we'd used in the few days since our Tinterwebs went down. So mobile networks, 41.84 gigs. I'd set a hard cap at 55 gigs. Not the great, and there's a huge spike in data usage from the other day, basically. So I've actually got a tallying from the middle of the month, but yeah, from the moment the internet went down, there's a huge spike and then levels off. But ridiculous. I'm still going to be doing the internet detox though, even though we've got the internet back. So things I probably should have thought of, and some kind of bugbears that I didn't think of when I'd started it. So a few things that I didn't think I'd find particularly annoying, that I find pretty annoying, is the inability to search for things right there and then. So let's say I'm looking for something, I'm doing something, then something pops in my head, and I want to get something noted down or get something done. I can't, because I haven't got my phone. It's something that I actually have to remember, which is probably a good thing. And in a month's time, we'll see, do I start to build up old habits? Because I think that's one thing we don't really have to do that much anymore with having smartphones and constant access to the internet. You think about it, you do it. Instant gratification. Whereas the way that I'm going about it now, I'm going to have to think about it. I'm going to actually have to remember it, and then do whatever it is that needs to be done the next opportunity. But I found that to be a little bit annoying. Lack of alarm clock. Watch, actually, is more my problem. I like to have the time on me at all times. I do everything by the clock. And I don't have a watch. I had a watch, and then I went and got a Pebble like a year or so ago 2 year ago, something like that. And the idea for that was that I was going to do some jiggery pokery on it to see if I could maybe get some IRC connectivity going on it. But that never came to be. And then I upgraded to a full-blown smartwatch, which, whilst not terrible, isn't great, because I don't like the idea that I have to take my watch off all the time. That really, really annoys me. And that they are quite expensive, and I always worry about breaking them. So, like, if I was wearing a regular watch, I would wear it in the shower all the time. A smartwatch, I'd take it off, put it down, and then I'd walk away without putting it back on. Because I'm just so used to a watch always being there. So, now that I've binned off the smartphone, even if it's only been a day, I'm like, what time is it? Because I was turning off my computers when I wasn't using them last night and yesterday. So when I was like, what time is it? I was actually then actively getting up to go and find the time, or getting aggro because I didn't know the answer. So I could have gone and I could just order another watch, just a cheap little Casio digital watch. I had a pocket watch that was bought for me on my wedding. No idea where that's gone. I haven't actually seen it since the wedding day, which is annoying me. But yeah, just it's aggro. I do have a watch somewhere. In fact, I actually sat around in the master bedroom, because I'm pretty sure that's the last place I put it, because I normally used to have an alarm go off every time partway through one of my live streams to say, it's almost time to go get the kids from school, wind things down, kind of thing. And I sat there like, I'll hear it and then I'll be able to grab it. No alarm. Couldn't hear it, couldn't find it, so I'll have to dig around for it, or order another cheapy little watch. It wasn't a cheap little watch, but I don't know. It's just something about having the time with me at all times. You know, I can just set a couple of alarms, have the ability to set a couple of alarms and say, like, you know, I'm going to get up at this time. Maybe, you know, go get the kids to school for this time, set an alarm like 10 minutes in advance. Say, like, this is, you know, we desperately have to be moving right now. Get ready to get the kids from school, that kind of thing. Just to kind of get that routine wired back in my head. But those are two things that have really aggravated me. The inability to just check the time, and the inability to search for things. Another thing that I didn't think about was actually the phone, the dumb phone that I was using, the Nokia 105, and whether or not it was actually compatible with the SIM card for the number that I was going to use. The answer was no, it wasn't compatible with the SIM card that I was going to use, but not because of the size, but because of the network. So I hadn't even thought about the idea of a phone not having access to 3G, the third generation cellular network. It's ancient. We've had 3G for so long, I don't imagine phones without it. But I completely forgot to check whether the 105 had 3G. It doesn't, which is awkward because the network that my old phone number was on doesn't support anything under 3G. They are the 3G network. So that didn't work. Thankfully, though, we did have a spare SIM card, which I then promptly topped up and just winged out my number to like 3 to 5 people. Just said, this is going to be my number for the next month. If you need to contact me, like people who regularly phone me, call me up on this. Otherwise, just use the normal methods and I'll get back to you when I'm at the computer, kind of thing. T9 texting, ugh, God, what a ball ache. And my God, text messages are expensive. I completely forgot how expensive it was to use a phone on pay as you talk, like back in the day. Like when you're a kid and you're like, oh, text messages, blah, blah, blah. Bloody expensive. But then when you look at, you know, now you get a data plan or whatever, you get a contract now, you've got unlimited text, unlimited minutes, bickety bam, job done. In fact, that's actually one of the first things I did when I started sending text messages. I had to activate the card, the SIM, with £10 worth of credit. So they gave me 5 more, and I instantly, after sending those texts, put on a £6 bundle just to get unlimited text messages and unlimited calls, just in case. Because otherwise, I would have eaten that credit just on calls and stuff. So my original plan of just saying to people, call the number on my business card, ain't going to work. It's a new number. But it's all right. The phone kind of sucks though, as to be expected, but it is literally just to take calls. The MP3 player has been absolutely fantastic though. Absolutely fantastic. I converted a bit of music. I was actually up until 6 o'clock this morning. 6 a.m. I went to bed finally. I was converting music and audiobooks and popping them on it. In fact, hang on. This is how I've been consuming my audiobooks today. It's right by my foot. There you go. It's a what is this? A Soundcore. What one is this? I can't remember if it's the Rave. It's the Soundcore. That one. Model A3396. That's not helpful. Trance. The Soundcore Trance Go. I think the Rave is the one with the LEDs in it. Because there's a version of this with LEDs and where the speakers are. No one need that. I've got tons and tons of Soundcore speakers all over the house. I've got a couple of them actually clipped to my backpacks. But if you notice, there's a red cable coming out the bottom. That's connected up to my MP3 player. And I've just been using this to listen to Bill Gates' audiobook on climate change, narrated by Will Wheaton. I started pulling down audiobooks on one of my little PCs. And then I used, was it like Audible Activator, I think it is, to pull down the encryption key for my Audible account. And then I've been using is it AAX or AAX? I think it's AAX or what is it? There it is, it's on the screen. AAX to MP3. And I've put in the argument for it to use Opus. So it's converting everything into OGG. And I've got it converting like 30, maybe 40 books at the moment to put on my memory card. And it'll take it from a single AAX Audible encrypted file. It will then decrypt it with the key that I pulled down from the site. It's a key tied uniquely to my account. And then split the thing into individual. Each chapter will be its own file, and make sure that those files are OGG. All of the files that I have on my MP3 player, I say MP3 player, so media player realistically, because it doesn't just play MP3s. They're in OGG, which is a nice little format. It's the open equivalent to MP3. MP3 doesn't really have any licensing anymore, but I don't know whether that falls under the Free Software Foundation's definition of a free codec. But yeah, I'm doing everything in OGG. I like OGG. It's an equivalent to MP3. I'd say the quality is good enough. I've made a few kind of no-nos when it comes to Audible or audio conversion, in that I have converted some MP3, 320 kbps MP3 into OGG. Normally I would only really say convert one format into another if it's a lossless format, so FLAC to MP3, FLAC to OGG or something like that, or Opus, whatever. But realistically, the stuff that I've converted into MP3, I'm not looking, or from MP3 to OGG, I'm not looking to have the most brutal, insane, intense quality, to be honest with you, as long as it can be heard. And I will still be keeping the MP3s and things like that, just because I'll keep the raw files. It's just so I can have a smaller version on my player, and so I can have it all in one format. But it's all good stuff. Generally, you don't want to convert like an MP3 to another lossy format, because you're just going to be losing more and more and more quality every time you do it. Kind of like when you edit a JPEG. You've got a JPEG that's a compressed format. You edit the JPEG and you save in JPEG. Well, it's going to do more JPEG-y magic compression, and you're just going to keep on losing more and more quality the more changes you make to it, to the point that it's a pixelated mess. Same kind of thing with MP3, but just with sound. You're going to keep on cutting frequencies every time you make changes. Same with OGG, Opus. Every time you make a change, because it's a lossy format, it's throwing away frequencies that you might have wanted to keep, throwing away data just to make that file that little bit smaller. But realistically, it's not that big of a problem. And I've listened to some trash MP3 files. In fact, a friend and I years ago used to toy with compression for music to see how much music we could fit on what was it, like a 8 meg card, 32 meg card. It was like a very small card. Like, and we were in megabytes, not gigabytes, megabytes. So, the idea was to have, because we had a phone each back in the day that would play MP3, Nokia N-Gage, funnily enough, and it was just, or it would play real media format, and so we would just see how low could you go before you noticed that the roll off on the highs and the lows was so brutal that you just didn't want to listen to it anymore. Like when the lows got really muddy and the highs just, your cymbals would just kind of roll off. The way we explain it would be like, imagine a cymbal underwater and you kind of get this kind of sound as it would just kind of, instead of ringing out a cymbal like a, you'd hear it as it would then cut off them upper frequencies. It would get rid of that sustain, because that's the data it wants to throw away, because it thinks you're not really going to notice it. But once you notice it, you never forget it, kind of thing. It's those roll-offs. It's like, we don't need those frequencies that long. Get rid of them. And that's why an MP3 gets smaller and smaller and smaller. It's just throwing away information to make the file smaller. But yeah, I've listened to some really trash files over the years, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, I've listened to the Crab Society North demo over and over and over again. That's the Stormtroopers of Death demo, which is like 60 odd songs in 15 minutes, probably recorded on a Fisher Price My First tape deck. It's an absolutely terrible quality thing, but it's Stormtroopers of Death just all the way. But yeah, so I don't need super high quality, but I do like a bit of quality. But yeah, the media player is working absolutely brilliantly. It's got a small screen. Yeah, some of the stuff ain't great to read, but as far as just sitting down, listening to an audiobook, listening to a few tracks, I've copied over quite a bit of stuff. I've only had one file so far that won't play after conversion, and that was a set of Final Fantasy 15 albums that I've got. I've got the Final Fantasy 15 soundtrack in FLAC, and Final Fantasy 15 piano recital in FLAC. Those won't play, but I'm not sure if it was the conversion that went wrong or the fact that it doesn't like Japanese characters in file names. So I'm gonna have to. I might just see about throwing those on in FLAC and taking up that little bit of extra space on the memory card. So I'm probably only using. I've got like Gorgoroth, Death, King Diamond. I've got loads of bands on that media player, like full discographies, and there's only a few gigs. I've only used a few gigs. I've probably used less than 5 gigs on 10, 11 bands discographies, maybe more, maybe less, I don't know, but there's no space at all, and I'm already starting to get to the point where I'm spoilt for choice. I'm starting to suffer from choice paralysis, but it's been great. It's been absolutely great. So really, other than the watch and the inability to search for stuff, this is going to be it's going to be pretty easy. And I almost had a gift from the gods today, because I mentioned how I think more people should have a home server. I literally got a gift today. A Synology disk station NAS and one drive to pop in. It's the DS720 Plus quad-core NAS. Let's see, we can have 3.5 or 2.5 inch SATA drives, M2 drives. It's got space for 2 NVMe SSD drives, 2 USB 3 ports, 1 eSATA port, 2 1 gigabit RJ45 LAN ports. It's not particularly heavy, and it's neat so far. I haven't really copied much on it, but it's handy that this came through, because I've got like 3 or 4 computers that I desperately want to wipe, but I didn't have any storage or anywhere to put the files. Now I do. It's going to make things a lot easier, and I found I should really probably pull my finger out and start moving some files around as soon as possible, rather than just kind of sitting on them. Maybe take an hour or 2 over the next couple of days just to get that done, like say whilst audiobooks are converting and all that. But I'm now kind of prepping for what happens life without the internet. Just for a little while, not full loss of the internet, obviously, but rationing it off. And I've got some bits to do so that I can clear out these machines, do some maintenance and that, and then wipe them and get back to normality, I guess. Use this as a time to organise and get stuff done. Maybe read a few books, maybe listen to a few audiobooks. It's great. Do check into the idea of removing DRM from any of your digital files, digital rights management or digital restrictions management, depending on how you look at it. Doing it to Audible, in my opinion, is absolutely great. It's very easy to do. It's literally just running a script, which is like Audible. What did I call it earlier? Audible Activator or whatever. Audible Dash Activator or Audible Dash Activation or something like that. You can find it on GitHub. You log in, it gets you an encryption key, and you can use that with different software to convert the encrypted file to something a little more friendly. Do not pay a service or for a program to do that. It's completely free. You could do it on a Raspberry Pi. It's that lightweight. If you've got a Raspberry Pi, it's not a bad little device to do it on, because you can just set everything up and go through it. But yeah, I didn't really actually have anything else to talk about. I was going to talk about the Synology when it turned up, but I might save that for tomorrow once I've loaded it with files. So, think about things before you decide to pull yourself off the internet. Make sure that everything's going to work. My God, it's annoying not being able to just connect and do stuff, but that's just a habit that I've realised I've gotten myself into. The idea that I could just press a button and go, you know. Yeah. I need a watch. I desperately need a watch. If I can't find one, I'm just going to buy one for a tenner. I absolutely hate the idea of not having the time with me at all times, I guess. It's really stupid. I don't want to carry around a smartwatch either if I haven't got a smartphone with me. I don't like smartwatches anyway, so why I got one, I don't know. I finally get to clear out my machines. It's 8 terabytes on that NAS. We're on this NAS now, and I'm gonna. I've got like what? This machine, that machine, and a machine in my bag. No, 2 machines over there that need to be done. So I've got a few machines that I desperately need to clean up. So, it's going to be busy. It's going to be fun because I've got a lot of crap because I'm a digital hoarder. And then get the expansion bay for that at some point and go forward. It's going to be cool. It's going to be cool. Right. Time to head the off. Time to head the off. I was going to make another comment, but fuck it. It's going to be easy. Hope you're well. And I'll see you all, with a bit of luck, in the next one. You don't need the internet. You don't need streaming. Just prep. Get yourself a little NAS. You know. Pull down your files. Strip the DRM. Put your stuff on a little server, even if it's just like a little Android TV box with a hard drive attached to the back of it. And you're good to go. See you in the next one.